Okay, well, I am still thinking about this Wednesday's walk, and it's Friday evening, but wanted to pull some photos together and just share share some of the excitement and some of the things we noticed. One is I wish I would have taken more photos, but anyway, it started a little overcast, and we had some lovely wildflowers as we approached Black Point, and we saw a lot of things before we even got there. But as we got to the edge, when we started to look over the edge, we saw a few pelicans, and they were really close up. And then there were more pelicans, and more pelicans, and more pelicans. And it was really lovely to see their coloring, and the gular pouch, and just getting to see them. Really, they were maybe 10, 15 feet away in some cases. But the more you look, as we were looking out, they were everywhere. A conservative account, they were just all over Black Point. I counted a few when we were in one spot, and conservatively, there were over 300 birds there. This was one angle on a pelican that I had never had before, which was kind of as we were going down the stairs there to get a little bit closer look. But there were other things tucked in there. Here was a Brandt's cormorant. We saw a few of those. This isn't a great one to see the buffy patch at the base of their bill, but you can kind of see the blue hue. Um, but those were indeed Brandt's cormorants. Here's a young western gull. There were lots and lots of young birds. I guess that was the theme for the walk for me. Here is a young Heerman's gull. Really beautiful and big, big numbers on those too. I think 100 was a conservative estimate there on those. Here they are, not full adults. They've still got some gray on the head, but you see the vibrant red bill. Just a total transformation from this to this. Here's one that I'm still a little stumped by. I think it's a Western. It's got such a pale eye. They have very dark eyes. Their first year. Anyway, as you know, I told many of you there, the gulls are always a challenge. And thanks to Cheryl for sending out John Muir Laws or Jack's gullible sheet. It is a very good thing to look at for reference. But here's what an adult Western looks like. And of course, these chicks stole the show as we um, were looking across at them. They were just absolutely adorable. But as I said, young birds were definitely the theme of the day. We saw a lot. So here are two um, oyster catchers that I was delighted to see back there. Really, really blending in with the rocks. And they were out there with their parents. Both parents, both adults were there. We saw a lot of territorial defense too around the area. So I guess we saw a total of six oyster catchers in this one area, but this family of four we got to spend quite a bit of time with. This bird was a surprise to me, to see a hairy woodpecker out on the rocks. Not sure exactly what it was doing there, but it hopped around on a couple of rocks before taking off. And then back to the chicks, just thinking about their camouflage here for a second. We watched this one pair, but on the left, there are actually two chicks. And then on the right, the one with the mouth wide open. But can you spot that one? Their camouflage for being polka dot birds is just unbelievable to me. I never get tired of watching them. These are a little bit older. I don't know. We were talking about estimates then. I think a couple of, like at least a week, maybe more. I don't know. I should look that up and see. I'll do that. Here's a territorial defense. This was not part of the little foursome that we saw, but this bird was uh, coming through and stirred quite a bit up. Here we are back with the parent and a chick, just to look at comparisons in coloring. The bill's a lot shorter. They don't start out like this. They're much downier too, looking more like the gulls in a way than the oyster catcher. But this one is maturing. Again, not sure how far off we are for it to fledge entirely, but it's getting its adult feathers. Beautiful. So nice to see them making it. I hope it does fully fledge. And then here is a bird that I was not so sure about, and it's pretty funny. I put it in the iNaturalist and got all sorts of things from this view. Like me, I had some trouble with this one because we had just been looking at house finches on the fence nearby. So I was like, but that's not quite right. But as soon as it turned to the side, I knew what it was. And the iNaturalist did too. This is a young cowbird that had probably been hatched by one of the sparrows or the finches nearby because it was calling and calling for an adult. But a young brown-headed cowbird. And then as we ended the walk, it was a real treat to see a female anise hummingbird at a bee plant. I see them all the time at plants that aren't native, especially around the gardens, bottle brushes and stuff like that. But to see it at a bee plant was such a treat, such a nice end. And this was another nice treat along the walk. This was actually out at Bihler's. This is a Clarkia, and a common name for this flower is farewell to spring. And we definitely are in summer with all of these young birds. Lots and lots of fun to see. So thanks for coming out and looking forward to the next one. Thanks, Cheryl and Nicole, for the prompting to get us out. It was great. Ciao.